All right, Todd. Well, we're ready to start with the disassembly process. And I'm going to have a really quick look while we're here at your the insides of your case, because that's, to me, the most intriguing part of this mystery about your dad's watch is what's the deal with that inner ring. It's so funny how one little thing can be such an interesting component, but it's quite cool. Woo! Okay, so that is moisture damage. Wow. I mean, it's not anything other than cosmetic, but that green grime has to come off, so we'll work on that a little bit. That's the that winding weight is some alloy of brass, and it tends to get this weird grime on it that it has to be scraped off, and it's wet. So definitely some moisture intrusion over time. Okay. But like we were saying in our email exchange, these watches were just watches at some point. They weren't actually, considered to be very collectible. Okay, so that winding looks good. Woo! That's got a little bit of surface damage. I'll have to take a close look at that one. See if that needs to be replaced. Okay. Alright, so we'll take your there we go. Looks pretty good. I'm always nervous when I hear that a watch has been serviced by somebody who was not perhaps on the top of their game with respect to these watches, because that can lead to issues. But luckily, they didn't bother too much with that. Okay, so there's a pusher with a very dry seal. Ooh, boy, that's a really dry one. Okay. So you can tell this is an A movement by some of the details here on the inside. This very short spring. The fact that this is non-adjustable. It's a very flat movement. It's much thinner than the others. There'll be some differences here with the screws. This hammer can move back and forth like this, where it doesn't on the B's. Just some details. There's no adjuster here. It's very interesting how they shifted the style. This is staked in place, this little gear. Ooh, that's loose. Holy moly. Totally loose, that screw. You know what? I'm going to leave these in just for now. I'm going to take the movement out before I go too far. Not that it matters all that much, but we will have a look here. Alright, so the lume is a bit gray, but it's not terrible. Your dial surface is pretty good. It certainly has seen some corrosion and moisture over the years. Some of these things are just cleanable. I can probably get some of this off we can work on this window a little bit. But I would not touch anything. I'm of the mind that preservation is better than restoration. So I always tend towards conservative conservation, being very, very, very careful not to do too much. Yeah, that's in the dial. So, all right, let's go ahead and take your dial and hands off. It's your case and the construction of the case that has me very interested. I want to know. I want to know what the history of this case is. Okay. Okay. All right, now we get to look at the dial, and at least we get to see if the dial is marked from this era. So it should have a 9. And let's look at your case back. 8. So it's anywhere between 696 and 9. Oh, I don't know. And O. That's what it should say. Somewhere in that range. So let's see. Oh. Huh. Oh no, that's right. I'm sorry. Not 9. Oh. So it's 08. 08 and 08. Yeah, it's a 1970. I'm sorry. That was my own lack of brain. So that's perfect. Those are from exactly the same production, which means that's the original dial. Now, what's cool is, so this is a Oceania watch, which we've talked about a little bit. And so that means you've got an English Roman wheel, which was very common for these. Looks like somebody has been... So what's really great is the fade on the day and date. This is so neat. I don't know if you can see the difference, but if you get it in the light just right, you see how the English is faded? That's because your dad wore this watch in the sun and didn't use the Roman days of the week. Look at that. So cool. So cool. All right. So let's, you know what? Let me pause. I'm gonna pause this process. We're gonna jump over to the case real quick. We're gonna uncover an interesting mystery. So here's your case. Now, that's a black ring. I don't know why. I mean, certainly this is an early crystal. It looks perfectly aligned. I do not see any proof that this was ever opened. Now, if this is a 1970 or earlier, so it's not a notch case, which is consistent, but it's a proof. It's so many mysteries. So, what I'm looking for is, does this inner ring have a geared outer circumference? What does that look like? So give me a moment. I'm going to take this apart. We're going to look at this together. So I usually do this when everything else is cleaning, but I figure why not? We'll just do it now. Okay. So there's that. We're going to take this off. So that's your crystal. We'll put that aside. All right, now, these early A cases should not have a ring spring, but they should have a geared tooth, a toothed outer circumference. So here we go. Let's look and see what we've got. Has this been replaced at some point in the past? Ready? Let's look. Geared. Oh, and it has a ring spring. Interesting. Okay, so that's what I was looking for. Jeez, I mean, I don't mean to question the story of the owner of the watch, but why in the world, at some point in the past, would this have ever been replaced with one from exactly the right era? I mean, the fact that it's from Oceania, it is a Stellux bracelet, has the 6001 designation, has a dark ring, and a gold dial. Boy, that just, I mean, I can't prove it, but this is an Aussie Pogue. I mean, I don't know another way to describe it as a very original, unfooled with kind of watch. Boy, it's really hard for me to understand why at the same era of manufacture, that's the only kind of ring that this would have had. It's just so curious. Okay, so let's go ahead and take all the power out of this. I do believe it's actually got some power in the mainspring. Full power, in fact. Very close. But the movement itself is very locked. It's really stuck. I'm uncertain as to why. I think it might be something to do with rust. I'm hopeful that it has not affected your chronograph wheel. Those are perhaps available, but wow, they are expensive. Okay. It doesn't look too bad. Sorry for the snoring in the background. The dogs are in the office here and are very tired from their long Thanksgiving feast. Okay, got some real crud in here. Right, we're gonna clean that out really well. The train looks pretty clean. Alright, so let's see how your chronograph wheel is. Looks good. Looks good. We'll test that further. Here's your third wheel. And your escape wheel. Looks pretty good. Okay, so there's your mainspring barrel. Take that down and get your mainspring out and have a look. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. Ooh, that looks like it's got some serious corrosion. I have to take a look at this guy. Oh, yeah, that's not good. Oh boy. Okay. Clean this a little bit here and just see once we get some of the larger pieces of rust off. The surface looks, not ideal, of course, to have rust on anything. Ooh, it's got some scratching here. Somebody has been in here and scratching away. I'm not sure what that is, whether it actually came from the watch itself but it doesn't look like it did. It looks like somebody was in here with a rogue pair of tweezers doing something naughty. To see. moisture collects at the center, as that's the sort of the top of the position of the crystal, and so as such the condensation accumulates at that point and then drops right onto this point of the watch, which is your center wheel, chronograph wheel, fourth wheel, that sort of thing. So somebody's been in here and has bent this a little bit. Ooh, oh my. Okay, hopefully that'll just pop right off. Right. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. There we go. There we go. All right, metal. You can see this has the metal bits and pieces here. I want to see how easy this hour wheel pops off. Oh, not bad, actually. That's good. That's very good. And your cannon pinion? Oh, seems pretty solid, and it's got some corrosion, but it's not bad. I've seen worse. Oops, sorry about that. Center wheel sticky. Ooh, okay, you may be in the market for a new center wheel. That may have to be replaced. Okay, give me one moment. Take care of your keyless works, and we will be ready to start the jeweling process of your movement. So these parts will come off, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, so we will go ahead and install a jewel here in your lower mainspring arbor port and in your upper, which is in your other bridge, and then we will proceed. Okay, next stop, jeweling. We'll be back. Okay, we're here at reconstruction. We're out of the cleaner, and before I get too far, I wanted to show you your lower mainspring arbor port jewel, and of course the corresponding upper mainspring arbor port jewel right here. So those will mitigate the influence or the lack of jeweling in your movement that Seiko sort of built into these. For some reason, they didn't decide to put a jewel in. So we are here to retroactively correct the problems of the past. So it is time to put your chronograph wheel in place. Make sure there's no residual material here. Everything's clean and ready. We can fit all the pieces. There we go. Okay, so now we can fit your chronograph bridge, or your main bridge. Alright, so let's get this installed. There we go, dropped right in. Perfect. Very good. All right, so now everything is actually turning. Right, now we can build out your chronograph components. Okay. Let's get your screws installed. spring. And next is your hammer. Put a little bit of lubrication on your hammer. And your very short hammer spring. Okay, there we go. That's one. That's good. Very good. Let's go for the next two. Okay, let's see how the train turns. Oh, that looks good. Very nice. Okay, let's disengage here. The train is running nice and free. No interference anywhere. That's good. Okay, so now we can put your pallet fork in place. Pre-lubricated stones. That sets right in. Now your bridge had some very bad old lubricant on it, and I have removed it, and hopefully there's no residue. I've checked it under the microscope, so it looks good, but you never actually lubricate those jewels. So that was a mistake by whomever had worked on this before, but that's been rectified. So we're all set for this. Go ahead and see what we do. The moment of truth. And it runs. It's a good sign. Running is where we want to be. We weren't there before. Looks pretty vigorous. It's nice. All right, let's get your die shock in place. There we go. Okay, and there we go. We're going to take a look at it on the time grapher and see how we did. We'll be right back. All right, well, that is pretty impressive for a starting point. I'm almost resistant to even touch it. It's just perfect. This thing is running incredible. Look at that, almost 240. Yeah, wow. I wish they all did this. Look at that, 240, straight out of the gate. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. That's really nice to see. All right, let's take a guess and see how we're doing on. I went too far. Let's come back. All right, now we're there. Okay, so now we can let it settle down a little bit, and we can adjust the rate. Yep, okay. Look at that. Flat as a pancake. What a beautiful sight. Okay. Well, yeah, got a little bit of adjustment to do, but we're going to do the final adjustment, of course, in the watch, in the case. So we'll come back and do this some more. But I am really happy with how this is performing. Oh, come on. And then we'll come back. But it's really a happy movement. Anything that starts off this early at this amplitude, it's just perfect. All right. Wow. Wow, look at that. Beautiful. Okay, well, this is incredible. Let's let it break in a little bit, and we'll come back. And we'll start with reassembly of the rest of the watch. But I don't think we're gonna get, wow. I mean, I can make some minor adjustments here, but I'm gonna let this break in, and then we'll come back and get the final tune once it's in the case. Okay, we'll be back. Looking good. Okay, so now it's time to put the rest of your calendar works together. We're gonna do that now. The only piece of plastic in your movement is right there. Everything else is metal. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now we need your jumper. Which helps you date quick advance. And here's your quick set lever. Okay, now we need your date ring. And your plate. And there we go. 4 small screws and we'll be ready to go. Go. And the last one. Okay, let's get your day ring back on, or day disc I should say. Very good. And your C-clip. Alright, and that's it. That is your movement ready to get its dial and its hands back installed. I'm going to just run through here, make sure they tick over, oops, properly. There we go. Okay, next stop is dial and hands, and then we'll be back. Okay, Todd, well, we have reached the end of the process. We're going to finish up with a few minor components here that are part of your winding assembly, but we've got the case rebuilt. We've got your movement back in place. And now it's time to do the final components. All right. Good. Okay, there we go. 2 screws for this bridge. Your winding weight. Okay, we need your new case back seal. Okay, new case back seal installed. Get your case back put back on. All right. And there we have it. There is your lovely, super cool, extremely rare 6139 6001 Aussie Pogue. I think we're going to call it that. I think we've confirmed that this is one of the rare ones, one of the special ones, super special in fact. I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to help you with this watch. It's just so cool. All right, I'm gonna let your chronograph click over one more. We're gonna give it a reset, right back to 0. Looks great. Well, Todd, in your father's quest for a watch that he could afford at a slightly better price, he managed to find a very rare and very unique variation on these watches. It's just so neat to have that story as part of the watch. So again, this is a really unique 1970 6139 6001 Aussie Pogue. I mean, I just love saying that. It's so cool to have this in my hand. The story just fits. I mean, it came from the region of the world that was selling these, which is, Southeast Asia. Oceania was the region. They came with a Stellux style bracelet, which is exactly what you have. We've cleaned that up and got that back together here. Unfortunately, I don't have the correct end link to complete this. You have a replacement here. You could get a set of end links from Uncle Seiko or something like that, and just until you find a Stellux style which has this notch to put on. But until then, I'm going to send it home with this one. But what a great watch! I'm just so excited to have the opportunity to work on this for you. Let's go over what we did. So I'm going to move your bracelet parts out of the way here. Move your watch back just a bit. And have a look at everything. So the watch has had some water in it. You can tell that by some of the corrosion and the loss of shininess, if you will, on some of the surfaces here. But you know what? It's part of the patina. It's part of what the watch is. I didn't try and do much other than just take some of the surface material off of the dial. But I didn't try and polish anything or change anything. I just wanted to leave it exactly as it was. That moisture led to some internal moisture inside the movement, but I think you really lucked out in the sense that the amount of moisture that got to the internal components was really limited to this one part, and this is your center wheel. And that is pretty badly rusted. You may not be able to discern that from this image in this movie, but around the important parts where it hits the jewel, it was fairly badly rusted. And as part of that, we also had to tighten your cannon pinion. It grips onto this with a sort of friction fit, so I had to tighten that up a little bit. But that was no big deal. Here's your bushing. That's part of your lower and upper mainspring arbor port jeweling. This was the bushing that was replaced by a jewel. You've got some seals here. I think there are some little tiny fractured seals from your pushers that are in here. Here's your old crystal. I'm not sure if this is original. It may have been a replacement that was put on at some point. It certainly will come back to you, of course, with everything else. But that is job finished. We are done with the process here on your watch. And what a great story and what a great piece. I'm just so excited. And I'm really, really looking forward to getting this back to you. It's running like, just amazingly well. We'll go through some of the functions here. Here's the day and date turnover. That seems to be going just fine. We'll do the automatic or the quick date through the week here. You can go, throughout. Do either that you want, or both together. So put it here on Red Sunday. Just looks so great. Okay, well, again, Todd, thank you so much, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for watching.